Formula One's 2026 engine shakeup plans have attracted the attention of many top car manufacturers, but not all of them are fully convinced just yet. Audi, on the other hand, has always been pretty clear on its intention to be a part of the grid, and now they've finally told us how they're going to do it. In today's video, we're going to talk about the German manufacturer's announcement and why it makes sense. So keep watching. First off, Audi shakes hands with Sauber. Audi's entry into the sport was never a point of contention. In fact, even before Porsche had probed into the possibility of joining Formula One, the Volkswagen subsidiary was already fully on board with the new engine regulations. After all, they deserve to be right up there next to the likes of Mercedes and Renault. And while a lot of other companies continue to weigh their options of whether to become a works team or just a title sponsor, the German manufacturer's always been all in. Now, of course, you can't just dive headfirst into a sport as brutal as F1, because that's just gonna end in disaster. Like, just look at the number of teams that have popped up and disappeared over the years because of inexperience or financial backing. Audi, however, has made the solid move of taking a stake in an already established team, Sauber. If you're new to Formula One, then you've probably never even heard of Sauber, as it doesn't actually race under the name these days. Instead, they compete as Alfa Romeo, yeah, the one with Bottas and Zhou Guanyu. Also, the team's been in the sport since the early 90s, so they've definitely got ample experience under their belt. As a matter of fact, despite being backmarkers during the modern era, they've finished in some lofty positions in the past as well. For instance, they finished second in 2007 when McLaren was disqualified. Likewise, 2008 was also a great year for them as they finished P3. So it's not like they don't know what it's like to be up at the top. Let's look at how everything is going to work with Audi. One big question that comes to mind after hearing about Audi's entry is, how are they going to deal with the whole Alfa Romeo situation? Like, are we just getting rid of another manufacturer's name to bring in someone else? Also, what happens to the Ferrari engines they've been using? Well, before we get lost in the sauce while asking all of these questions, let's take a step back and go from there. For starters, Alfa's name is definitely going away after next year, meaning that from 2024, we're going to see Sauber on the grid again. On top of that, they're also going to use Ferrari engines until 2026. So not a lot is changing apart from the name until the new engine regulations. Once the power unit regs kick in though, then Audi will step in and take control of pretty much everything. Yes, that includes the engine, the naming, and the chassis as well. Effectively, we're going to have an Audi factory team on the grid, which honestly is super exciting because ever since the company's inception in 1909, they've never competed in F1. Of course, we don't expect it to be a smooth entry, as making your own power unit isn't child's play. What's more, Sauber's always been a customer team, which essentially means that the German manufacturer would have to start from scratch. That said, it takes so long to figure the logistics of this stuff out that they're probably already underway with their prototyping. Up next, Fred Vasseur weighs in on the deal. One man who seems extremely pleased with the development is, of course, the Sauber team principal, Fred Vasseur. After all, his team's not only about to get a massive cash injection, but he's also probably going to move up the order to compete for actual wins within the sport. Plus, he won't have to effectively act as Ferrari's B team principal either. And according to him, Audi's resources and expertise in motorsport will make a massive difference to their aspirations in the future. In an official statement released by the team, he said that the partnership between Audi and Sauber is a key step for his team as they continue to make progress toward the front of the grid. Besides, becoming the German manufacturer's official team is an honor in and of itself. At the same time though, this isn't a time to start celebrating, as the responsibility and the weight of a brand as big as Audi isn't going to be easy to deal with. So they've got a lot of work to ensure that they pull this off in the right way. That being said, the 54-year-old is still confident that this is the right move, both for his team and for Audi. Also, he believes that Sauber's got what it takes to help the new entrant achieve objectives that they've set for their foray into the sport. In fact, the team's chairman Finn Rausing also echoed these thoughts by saying that Audi's the best strategic partner for them because they've both got similar visions, values, and goals. So all good on that front. Coming up, Audi's F1 head on the partnership. The feel-good vibes aren't just coming out of Sauber's HQ, because Audi's pretty happy about this deal too. For instance, the company's head of F1 technical development, Oliver Hoffman, also had some pretty rave remarks about his new strategic partners. According to him, the car manufacturer couldn't have found a better outfit to team up with for their ambitious Formula One project. After all, not only do they have an insane amount of experience, but they've also consistently outperformed outperformed their budget. What's more, Sauber's also got a state-of-the-art facility for designing its F1 chassis, making them a perfect fit for the job. Besides, they've seen considerable success with other partnerships too, which just goes to show how great they are as collaborators. Besides, for a team that has operated within such a tight budget for a long time, the sky's the limit. Now for the reason Audi chose Sauber. Alright, so even though Audi's deal with Sauber didn't exactly shock anyone, there are still some questions that come to mind. For instance, why Sauber? Like, sure, they're experienced and have been great at communicating with their partners, but it's not like other teams like Williams or Haas aren't able to do that either. Apparently, the biggest reason behind this was the team's incredible facilities. Now, if you don't know, despite not having the fastest car on the grid, Alfa has some stellar tools in its arsenal. Their wind tunnel especially has been praised by everyone in the paddock. In fact, even Audi has rented it out for a ton of its other projects, including the World Endurance Championship program. Oh, and their simulator's no slouch either. The team owner, Finn Rausing, has spent a lot of money to bring the factory up to date, so it's only natural that they are up there in terms of chassis design and aero testing. For Audi, it's effectively a turnkey operation. Like, they can just step in with their power unit and get to work straight away without risking starting a new team from scratch. Not only that, but everyone's also expecting the carmaker to leave the trackside running and chassis development to Sauber, so all they've got to do is develop a competitive engine. What's more, Audi's got other reasons to enter F1 too. Now, finding a strategic partner is the second step toward making your Formula 1 entry. The first, of course, is finding a reason to enter the sport, and as we've seen with the Porsche Red Bull deal, it can be very hard for both of those things to align together. Well, for Audi, it's always been a question of when and not if. For starters, they've got a rich history in other forms of motorsport, like the Le Mans 24-hour endurance race, which, by the way, they've won 13 times. So it's only natural that they want to make the step up and join the big players in the quote-unquote pinnacle of motorsport. What's more, the increased role of electrical elements in the 2026 engines has also played a major role in attracting the car manufacturer, as it kicks its own road car sustainability efforts into top gear. So it seems like the stars have just aligned for this to happen. Finally, what does Sauber get out of this? Obviously, Audi didn't just swoop in with a bag of cash and buy Sauber. The thing goes both ways, meaning that Sauber's got a lot to gain here too. For instance, stability has always been a big sticking point for them, as their survival in the sport has come under threat multiple times over the past decade. Of course, they're incredibly resilient and have always found a way to continue, but still that extra cash injection wouldn't hurt. Plus, they also seem to have maintained the most control over the chassis design and the trackside shenanigans. And that, for every employee involved, is just great because their jobs aren't going away. Also, let's not forget they'll attract more sponsors and better drivers by working with a brand like Audi. Besides, no one's gonna turn down the chance to compete at the very top and potentially win championships. That's a wrap for this video. Can Audi actually propel Sauber to the top of Formula 1? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.